Danger.
OnlyMoneyMob.com.
Danger, Will Robinson.
So it's your boy Kryptonite and your boy
Toad.
And we're coming live from from the Golden Temple. We're about to get into it. We got a lot of stuff to hunt and whatnot. Bingo, bango!
The dango at the baby.
Science.
Oh, it's all fun and games till somebody gets poked in the eye or something.
Yes,
a little
sir.
Science. EarlyMorningMob.com. Golden Debate.
Golden Debate Show. Live with Kryptonite and Tuto.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, the golden debate show. Wow, golden debate show. We're gonna talk about this all about.
So, Mr. Tutonius, I don't believe we have much time left. I think we have to get into it because
a severe plague.
the locusts are coming!
Oh my God.
You know what that means, kid.
Island of Madagascar. Billions
The
of these
locusts are
plant
coming, which
dying
means we
insects
don't have
threaten
much time, as I
security
believe. I
of nearly
mean, that
60%
Armageddon's
of the
coming. I
island's
wasn't that supposed to be in
population.
December.
The UN's Food and
Yes, sir,
Agricultural
2012.
Organization
What
says it
happened?
is the worst plague to hit the region since the
Why is it
It's always some type of
1950s.
worst plague whenever. All right, we'll start it off real simple, though, because we like to talk about sports a little bit here, a little bit of the number one world's distraction.
Sam.
What happened to those brackets, kid?
Brackets are done.
Busted. I had Miami, you had Ohio State. Done.
Done. Yo, that kid from Louisville, man.
Cracked his whole entire foot right off of his bone.
Exploded.
They don't get no money when you play in college, but you make your university tons of money. That kid's done with. And, yeah, that's a shame, but Louisville moves on.
Yes, sir.
Wichita State, Syracuse,
The
and
Shockers. Two in the pink, one in the stink.
Michigan. So there's two Big East teams left in it, and as you know, they're disbanding the Big East, so that's kind of crazy and good in a way.
Yep, so hopefully Syracuse pulls it off. So we got that Big East title before.
So in the girls, UConn Huskies, of course, we're from CT. The UConn Huskies are always still in it.
Yep, powerhouses.
Brittany Griner, who be dunking on bitches, she went down. They actually got her.
Yeah, they were punching.
Yeah, they were
clawing,
definitely
kicking.
punching and kicking her. That wasn't right. I don't believe that was right.
Brittany Griner, what that?
Yeah, she got punched in the face. It's also opening day in baseball. You're a Yankee fan. I'm a Met fan. And
Yep.
Yanks and Red Sox today.
Yes, sir. We have a crazy lineup, but hopefully we can start playing small ball. It's not all about the home run.
We're weekend warriors as well. We got our basketball on, our annual basketball every weekend. And, yeah, I got my 2 wins on. It was also Easter, so did you enjoy your Easter? I know I got my grub upon.
Yes, sir. Got fat. You know, roll tide. Everything was grateful.
Yes, sir. So you're listening to the Golden Debate Show. You can also check out the Golden Show and soon to be Mob TV and everything we do on the Golden Network. Go to EarlyMorningMob.com.
Early morning.
So let's get into a song and then we'll see you on the other side. You know, as we do, we're deconstructing Huskies vamps.
Kill them with it.
Yeah, hit them with the truth. Let's
Get
get
with
it.
it.
I only got one little extra sports thing I'll talk about later. Because I find it pretty ironic that they're calling the New Orleans Hornets, they're changing their name to the Pelicans. So I find out what Pelican means in occult and Wiccan and Native American things. It's pretty interesting. We'll get into that later. We got a lot of hunting to do. Let's do it. Go to the debate show. Tell me to go.
EarlyMorningMob.com.
What's the night in? Always. So as you know, we try to also put out other good sources with some good information, and as we tell you, we listen to the No Agenda show because these boys break down news like we do, and they come for the vamps. So this is them deconstructing a lot of the
what was new
year
at
in
the
review
time,
type
or how
stuff.
it constructed and how it disappeared.
Okay,
off the
let
face
me
of
just
it.
understand. Let me
They
understand your
deconstruct
setup
this,
here.
and me and Tom will
You're saying
deconstruct
there
this, and
are
then we'll give
news
some of our
break
own
it down.
that have
Golden
appeared
debates.
over time, over the past 5 years, that we have certainly picked up on, discussed, and
Science.
deconstructed, but real news and interesting events that were overlooked by the mainstream, purposely or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now let's look at one of the most interesting. I have 1, 2, 3 of these I want to go over. But the most interesting one to me, besides, and we'll go over the flu one in a minute, but the most interesting one to me was the crotch bomber. Now,
The crotch bomber.
I want to play, this is clip WTF 3
Underwear bombers, sock bombers.
These the ones with the number 3 are all this. So 3 WTF. This is the opening salvo. This was Candy Crowley on CNN, and this was the opening salvo. And I want to remind people what happened and how we discussed this. But just listen to this.
You also saw something strange happen when the fire started and everyone raced for him. What was it that you observed?
Well, as this was all going on, I just happened to look over, and about 10 seats ahead of me was, to the left-hand side, was a man who had a camcorder, and he was filming the entire thing. So it was definitely a little out of the ordinary. I mean, I don't know why. He was standing up, and we were supposed to be seated, and he was filming it, so...
We ought to just tell everybody that Gene Meserve has reported tonight that the FBI says it has analyzed a number of videotapes that were shot by passengers on that flight, and that has proven particularly useful to the investigation. Nonetheless, there's a lot of commotion, and someone is filming it. Although in this day and age, I suppose we probably shouldn't be too surprised since everything shows up somewhere eventually.
Yeah, but it was an IMAX camera, Candy. That was the problem. It was a red camera.
And if you remember this event, right after they landed, they took all the passengers one by one into a giant warehouse.
That's right, and we thought that they were going to kill them.
Well, I think that may have been what they were going to do if they'd gone right.
Okay.
I mean, who knows what the plan was? But they took him in there. I don't know if they gave him national security letters. We never heard from anybody again after that. The whole thing was kind of let to rest, let the media take over.
Well, there was the lawsuit. And the lawyers who were on the plane who saw the agent help this guy board the plane without a passport in Amsterdam. Right. There was a whole lawsuit about that, and that was I don't know. I mean, is that lawyer still alive?
No, I mean that's the point. That's what I'm trying to make. We spot these things early. People have to remember that they happened, and then there's no follow up whatsoever because they just pull this thing, and then they turn it into a propagandistic. This was an attack and all the rest. So play Obama here goes after, this is one of his little things to go after the CIA, when the whole thing was just a phony deal from the beginning, but here's Obama.
It's been widely reported that the father of the suspect in the Christmas incident...
Oh, I've forgotten about this. This is so good, John. Do you think we'll have one of these retrospectives on CNN this year, at the end of the year? Will they do all this?
I don't think so.
Warned U.S. officials in Africa about his son's extremist views. It now appears that weeks ago, this information was passed to a component of our intelligence community, but was not effectively distributed so as to get the suspect's name on a fly list. There appears to be other deficiencies as well.
No, man, and this is what started all the sharing and the sharing of information and what got us the naked body scanners. Yeah, that was good. Not good times.
And then you have another level.
They took away those body scanners and now they replaced them with new ones.
I could have put a whole section together of everybody from
powerful,
O'Reilly and all these right-wing guys and a lot of left-wing guys saying how great torture was. But then we have one of the biggest proponents of torture, which is Monica Crowley, and she leverages the crotch bomber with the most idiotic thing you can imagine.
That is escalating the drone attacks in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and now Yemen. I've given him credit for that. But on the other hand, closing Gitmo, shutting down enhanced techniques like waterboarding,
so I believe the president said in his first inauguration that he was going to shut down Gitmo.
Those kinds of signals actually, I think, are undermined.
Whatever happened with that?
Drink slave!
Pretty much vamp lies, if you will, right?
Science.
Vamp lies.
Okay. This is
so they pretty much broke down how media is pretty much used to, you know, weaken the standpoint of these vamps, whatever. But I'll play this little interesting clip that I found, and this one talks kind of like
human rights groups are criticizing the United States and other countries for acting to weaken a draft of what could be the first ever global arms treaty. Negotiations began at the United Nations in New York last week for a treaty to regulate the $70 billion trade. Earlier talks collapsed last year when the U.S., which leads the world in global arms exports, as well as Russia and China, said they needed more time. On Monday, Anna MacDonald, head of arms control for Oxfam, said the new draft is too weak.
This treaty is not good enough. This is not the treaty that we have been campaigning for 10 years. This is not the treaty that's going to save lives and protect people. Science must be closed.
What is a law treaty at the end of the day? You know,
to the voices of the majority who have been saying repeatedly during this first week of negotiations and indeed in informal sessions continuing discussions over the weekend what they want to see in the treaty, and why this must be a treaty with very comprehensive scope of weapons covered and very tough and clear rules.
Of course, they always bring up weapons when it comes to treaties and whatnot. But this clip right here talks about wiretapping, which I find
variation to this question as well. Is the government spying on reporters right now?
Take out the reporters and no one can report.
Wow. I hear you laughing. See, here's the dark side. Because there's a whole lot I still have not shared fully publicly, okay? Although I've shared this with 9/11 congressional investigators, and I've shared it with others in Congress.
Science.
When I was standing down as the senior executive,
This is science.
I've made allusions to it in other public fora. I've written about
all
it.
knowledge.
I remember what happened, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? Where instruments of national power were used against reporters. Instruments of national power were used against activists or protesters. Those that became, quote-unquote, designated as enemies of the state. Remember, at one point, Daniel Ellsberg himself was declared to be the most dangerous man in America. Okay? I became an enemy of the state. I will tell you, without equivocation, that the surveillance system, that was the illegal surveillance system that was put into place after 9/11 and grew from there and came to a huge head in 2004 when James Comey, remember that incident? And if you follow what's going on right now with this documentary on Dick Cheney, very interesting what Cheney is now saying unapologetically, and also what really was going on, because he kept the truth, apparently, from his own president regarding very senior officials and very senior lawyers who were about to resign over this secret domestic surveillance program. Why? Because it was illegal. I will simply tell you that an aspect of that secret surveillance program, called Stellar Wind at the time, I believe it's gone through some name changes since,
always goes through some name changes,
included surveilling reporters and journalists.
Enemies in your AO.
Remember, if you wired the electronic system, it makes it very, very difficult, unless you engage in other means, to get information to a reporter or a journalist.
What exactly does that mean? By any means? Well,
and obviously, if you're concerned about disclosures that they call leaks that are unauthorized, wow, you just keep tap on any and all connections that are made to certain reporters and journalists, and that net just widens. And so I know for a fact that actually took place.
My little knowledge, am I considered a reporter?
This is no different, but on a much larger scale than what happened during the 60s and 70s, where they were wiretapping reporters and journalists to find out who their sources were. If you know who the sources are, guess what? I don't really have to go after the journalist directly. I'll just go after the source.
Right from the source of the vampires.
So here's really where it gets extremely troubling for me and most disturbing. As a result of my own case, I had contact, and this is another paradox of what happened to me. I went from having gone to one reporter to having interactions with any number of reporters, on and off the record. Any number of them have told me privately, and it's chilling,
So this guy's just on fire right now.
You mentioned that former colleagues said to you
I'm going to let him keep going on his roll. I won't
Do you
stop
believe
him.
that attitude is pervasive among government employees? And maybe you could address it inside and outside of the intelligence community.
It is true that the intelligence community, of which I was a part for many, many years, both as a government employee and as a contractor,
science,
and even in the military,
okay,
that you do sign secrecy agreements. And these vary based on the agency. The secrecy agreement that I signed was to protect the agreement, what they call protected information, which by definition was classified, truly classified, or under classification review. It was actually carefully articulated in terms of executive statutes and rules. In this particular case, when you're referencing, I just want to be very careful here in my wording, okay? Because you're referencing former colleagues. There was this misunderstanding that if you happen to speak to a reporter, that by definition, anything that you might say to them could be characterized as classified. Because you, unless it was authorized, then you were in an unauthorized status, and therefore you were liable under administrative rules. Like I said, there are distinctions between agencies, although increasingly they're centralizing this through the D&I. You may have heard very recently that James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, is now adding a questions to the polygraph mechanism, in which individuals that either they're going to be obtaining a clearance or retaining an existing clearance will be asked about unauthorized contact.
This guy, I got a couple more clips on this guy right here.
And so, yes,
definitely
I had individuals that I used to work with who assumed that it was criminal under the U.S. law to have any contact whatsoever with a reporter. In fact, I was even asked that question by Scott Kelly on 60 Minutes a couple years ago. The possibility that they may get ticked off if you happen to have contact with a reporter. Wow. I never imagined that would truly happen on such a large scale in this country.
It's called the Pretzel Act.
Yet some of the very best reporters in this country, investigative reporters, are experiencing precisely that. They're being frozen out from their own sources because of fears of the sources have of their own government. Risen himself is part of a criminal case with Jeffrey Sterling
this is science.
because of things that were shared in his book called State of War.
Periodic table.
He's caught up, subpoenaed 3 times. And the allegations are he's the only eyewitness to the crime. Crime?
What's the crime?
Crime. Playoffs. Well, crime is...
Under what circumstances do you think that classified information should be leaked?
That's a loaded question. Classified is... See, what's happening now is the government is increasingly wants to classify as much as possible. Because what that allows them to do is create a larger ambit in which they can charge you for having either retained, disclosed, or leaked classified information. But to answer it directly,
so if I could just have a thought,
if it involves war crimes, if it involves wrongdoing,
if it's a non-vampire statute, that most definitely.
Then yes, there's very little in government that actually truly ever needs to be classified. It always needs to be placed under constant review.
So we'll get into a song and then we'll play some more vamp hunting clips. But do you want to add anything to that?
That's kind of like.
Gentleman's name's Drake. He's a whistleblower, and I have a couple more clips that I want to play next week to really tie it in and then give our explanation at the end of that. Yes. But they kind of go about a different topic. So this was all mostly about leaking classified information
and what's considered classified or not.
Yeah. Well, WikiLeaks to me was, the guy's kind of like a vampire to me as well. So it's kind of like inside job-ish, but.
Vamp on vamp.
You're listening to the Golden Debate Show. The man Two-Tone Tom the guy.
EarlyMorningMob.com.
This don't make no sense, everybody. One time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. All my real live niggas, throw your hands up. All my real live bitches, throw your hands up. All my hustler motherfuckers, throw your hands up. All my
this, y'all. The heavyweight Brooklyn bomber that can't rest. No success, I'm getting money progress. Traveling for free from state to state. That's how I get my idea to create. I live motivate, I keep on moving. It's been proven. I make death jams like Rick Rubin. I stay on my tippy toes, wrecking shows. You too slow, you can't beat my ill flow. Hit this Murray zone, keep low like an Eskimo. After people still carry my fofo. Open the door, it's the real outlaw. From Flatbush to South Shore, giving you more and more. I just came home from war. It's my time to burn the rich floor. I'm coming through the floor with the axe. I'm fully gas to the max, open facts, no faking jacks. I'm the baddest man on the wax. Messing around with my squad, you get taxed. Shitting X-lax on hot tracks. I can't relax, breaking backs with my NFL quarterbacks. Flip mode DE, we bring good things to life. Put down your gun and light. I'm in to win it, plus I'm wildin' for the night.
All my motherfuckers in the place to be. You feel right? Throw your hands up.
Wow for the night.
Niggas in the place if you wanna fight. Tell me yes, let's get busy cause we
wow for the night.
My flip mode niggas getting
wow for the night.
Niggas in New York getting
wow for the night.
My niggas in the West getting
wow for the night.
People in the world getting
wow for the night.
My niggas uptown, you throw your hands up in the place. If you feel right, we getting
wow for the night.
Throw your hands up, you getting
wow for the night.
Niggas cross the land getting
wow for the night.
My niggas downtown, we getting
wow for the night.
Yo, I'm top villain, making a killing, flipping script like Terry McMillan. I can't help the way I'm feeling. Caps is killing, drugs is dealing. My thought niggas keep illin'. Rampage is higher than the ceiling. Mad and peeling, brothers who dealing from Brown's villain. I'm ready and willing, I'm playing lock and chase. You can get my black race is bitter. There's a chase, I'm moving cats like Chase. You about to get laced, 15 across your face. You at the wrong place, you at the wrong time. You didn't use your third vision mind. You sipping wine, your vision is blind. Yo, you can't see the victory. You in this street, it's getting deep. You roll the with the wrong peak, you're the black sheep. You up on tap scotch when your little brother got shot.
So Mr. Tone, there's been a little debate. My real question is, one of these politicians got caught saying that Scud was a better choice than a chemical weapon.
Assad has lost his
Aren't they both kind of bad?
to lead by attacking the Syrian people. Every conventional weapon in his arsenal, including Scud missiles. And we have been clear that the use of chemical weapons against the Syrian people would be a serious and tragic mistake. We also share Israel's grave concern about the transfer of chemical or other weapons systems to terrorists, such as Hezbollah.
You're looking for one person to blast thousands.
The Assad regime must understand that they will be held accountable for the use of chemical weapons or their transfer to terrorists.
The cities back up.
So there's another tragedy, as I don't know if anybody might not even got this information yet. There's another oil leak. It ain't BP this time, it's Exxon again. So I believe that I might have found
in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now they evacuated about 50 homes after a crude oil pipeline ruptured near Mayflower, spilling oil into Lake Conway. Now, this was the big concern.
Lake Curtis Conway from the Chicago Bears.
Really, if it didn't hit their main waterway. Lake Conway serves as a waterway to some 400,000 people. Now, with that said, that was the main concern, and lo and behold, it happened. We have had oil reach Lake Conway. The problem is now they've got this stopped. Okay, that's a good thing. They've shut this
said they got
it
stopped.
They do not know how much oil has made it into this lake, and they're trying, like always, to keep it, as ratchet down as low as possible with the hysteria. They're saying a small amount of oil was released into Lake Conway.
It takes a small amount.
Exactly how much?
One drop.
So, that right there tells
water,
you
maybe more.
It wasn't clear exactly how much. Could have been a little bit. Could have been a lot.
Warning. So this may or may not be the little distraction of the week. So the next tip is,
tomorrow after being
have you heard about the Cyprus Bank?
However, the authorities are expecting runs on the bank, so they're putting in place new restrictions to try to stem the outflow of deposits.
Cyprus is a country,
First, Cypriots will not be allowed to withdraw more than 300 euros per day. They won't be allowed to cash any checks. They won't be allowed to cash in certificates of deposit early. And finally, if you're traveling outside the country, you won't be allowed to bring out more than 3,000 euros per person per trip. There are preparations underway for the mass distribution of cash. Tonight, a huge amount of cash arriving at the central bank under heavy guard, and a private security team is in place in the country with 35 armored vehicles to begin distribution of that cash from the central bank to the branches. The employees are getting in early in order to receive training on what to say and what the new measures are, and then the banks will finally reopen at noon. It's a key step for this country that has been through such a tough crisis. Though, Larry, they still have a lot ahead of them.
Straight raping them.
Yeah, so pretty much now you're going to get charged for them to hold your money. I mean,
they already charge enough fees as it is.
Word.
In fact,
and luckily, I mean, everybody's like, oh, that's over there.
Well, funds will be amongst the assets confiscated and transferred to Europe.
Banks got bailouts.
In fact, when the banks eventually reopen here, individuals or businesses with more than $130,000 on deposit in certain banks will find a great deal of their money has been seized. What's left will be subject to strict controls. Closing accounts or transferring money will be forbidden in the near term. No other European country has endured such a thing, as this onlooker here rather shrewdly observed.
Shrewdly!
Tonight, Cyprus's president returned from Brussels and told his people to brace for deep pain.
And the bankers are the biggest vampires.
And in fact, the Dutch finance minister, who played a leading role in imposing this nightmare on Cyprus, told reporters today that this will indeed be the template for any future bank bailouts. In other words, Peter, from now on, no bank account anywhere in the Eurozone is safe.
No one's safe!
Cannot be reassuring.
Better tap the Queen's
We've got this real kind of contrast here. Over there is very part where over here, staff, it seems, from Brown Brothers Harriman. This is I mean, if you look at it, look at the size of the frickin' building. Brown Brothers Harriman are one of the major Illuminati banks of the last, going back to the
This is David Icke, we all know. He's down with the vampires as well.
Here. This is the kind of 1%
again, some of these
people
are
talking about.
Are down with them, they blast them as well.
While people are suffering and people are losing their homes and are going into the streets, these people are working for the companies, the system that's actually doing it, and they'll have no problem. You know, we had a situation not long ago, about a couple of weeks ago, where there was a company that had every year they had like a party with a theme, and it was a company that was throwing people out of their homes.
They're so vamped that they don't even know what to do.
During this mayhem that we've
been
going
want your money, my money.
And they had this theme party. The people
want
golden
shows and
where they dressed as homeless people who've been thrown out of their homes and all the rest of it. I mean, talk about no empathy. Go on,
so, I don't know if you're familiar. I know we try not to watch as much mainstream. We try to watch underground news.
More mayhem
but
for the world.
CNN has a guy called Wolf Blitzer.
Yes, Wolf.
His name is what?
Wolf.
We're into obviously Lycans and Wolf and things that fight vampires. His name is what? Wolf, right?
Wolf, yes.
That's a very good question, Wilf.
Wilf.
That's a very good question, Wilf.
That's big media for you there, folks.
Thousands upon thousands of human costs in this war. But the government...
So, I like to pick on the media a little bit. So watch the teleprompter just blow right out and then she loses all types of control.
With the debate right now, with the government cuts set to take effect.
So, I'm pretty versed in music. As some of you may know, we make music. Tony and I, we make a lot of hip-hop music. But I'm into every type of music. As a producer, I sample and I listen to rock and everything. I don't know if you know who Frank Zappa is.
I kind of do. My uncle used to listen to the Zappas.
Frank Zappa is a very experimental, old-school rocker. Not, he died from cancer, but he, before he died, really was blasting these vampires, and
remember the 60s,
here he is explaining, and this is, I believe, in the late 80s or early 90s, what's wrong with the music industry then.
But one thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out.
The obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing.
Say peace to them as we end.
Peace, love, and happiness, my people. Gather this information and do what you need to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. EarlyMinimum.com, Kryptonite Two-Tone.
Holla! The Golden Debate Show.